Have you ever noticed there are two kinds of tired? There's the kind that a good sleep can actually reset, can fix. After you wake up, you feel good. And there's this type that follows you even down to Monday morning. No wonder a lot of people hate Monday mornings. The kind that survives any kind of vacation, the kind that sits on your chest, even after you've achieved something tremendous that you've been praying for all this while. You finally get the promotion, your business start making money, your content begins to get traction. People start to call you successful, yet somehow, somewhere, you feel exhausted. You feel like you've not achieved enough. Not because you're lazy, not because you're ungrateful, but basically because maybe, just maybe, you're climbing a ladder your heart never asked you to climb. And if you've ever felt this way, stay with me, because by the end of today's podcast episode, we're going to understand what alignment is and what misalignment really means, why so many ambitious people lose it, and the hidden signs that you're building a life that no longer fits you. We're going to be debunking a whole lot of things about working hard, and most importantly, what psychological thoughts are around it. Okay, so let's get right into it. Hey lovelies, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Florrapedia Podcast, a community where we grow, glow, and get things done while improving one life at a time. I am your amazing, ever gorgeous host, Florabella. Yes, and today's conversation is personal. It's always personal here, right? But yes, this is not simply because I have the answers to everything, but because I have experienced it myself, and a lot of ambitious people have experienced it too. Sometimes we call it stress. Sometimes we blame adulthood. And let's not lie, adulthood has been doing the most lately, because why the hell am I feeling extremely exhausted lately? Last week, I had to take a deliberate pause. Yes. Your girl had to take a deliberate pause from posting or doing anything throughout the week so that I could re-strategize, rest, and get my head in the game again. Because over here, we understand that there is wisdom in taking a pause and re-strategizing rather than just blindly being consistent. And that was why I did not release any episode last week. So it was an intentional pause. And I am truly sorry that I did not say anything or actually give you a heads up before that. But you know how these things work. You don't plan for it. They plan themselves out. So yes, I was exhausted and I needed to take a break to restructure and rethink. And I feel like a lot of people, feel this way too, but they don't really talk about it. And they just try to continue pushing. There is one thing when something is not working and you try to see if maybe there is something you're doing wrong and you make it work and you put in your effort. But there is wisdom in also knowing that sometimes not everything deserves more effort. Sometimes it needs you to take a step back and try something new. Relearn, unlearn, and try to reapply new strategies to what you are doing. That way, you'll be able to get results, right? But then, I just feel like a lot of people do not even know when it is time to stop, when it is time to take a step back, or when it is time to reinforce new strategies or new efforts into what they are doing. And that is why you need to understand from the beginning what alignment is all about. So, what is alignment? Let's start from there, because most people throw this word around like it's nothing. Some people will say things like, I'm trying to align my life. Some will say, I'm looking for alignment. But what is even the meaning of this alignment they're talking about? For me, alignment is basically when your life reflects the person you're becoming. When your values, your goals, your ambitions, your relationships, your work, and even your habits and your idea and definition of success are moving in one direction. Now, let me give you an analogy. Imagine this. Imagine you're driving a car and all tires are pointing in different directions, east, west, north, and south. Your engine is working well, you're pressing the accelerator, you're burning fuel, but somehow you're not moving smoothly. That is what misalignment feels like. You're busy, it feels like you're productive, and you feel like you're doing everything right. But somehow, somewhere, you feel heavier. All your success feels heavier than it should be. You feel a deep burden inside. And here's the interesting part. Psychologists like Edward Darcy and Richard Ryan, they've spent years studying what actually motivates people. And their research became known as self-determination theory. Now, don't worry, I'm not about to turn this into a lecture, but I'm going to try to explain to you because this is an amazing discovery. It's very fascinating because they came up with the theory that human being thrives when three psychological facts are met. One, when we genuinely feel like our life is ours. Two, when we feel like we are growing. And three, when we feel connected to those who truly matter. Now, imagine this. If your ambition gives you money but takes away your freedom, would you feel happy? If your career is growing but your relationship is falling apart, will you really feel fulfilled? Now, if your business is scaling but you're completely losing yourself in the process and you don't know who you are anymore, would you truly feel successful? Probably not. The answer is going to be probably no, because success can never truly fulfill or satisfy what it was never designed to meet. And I think that is where so many of us get stuck. We're trying to use achievement to fix a problem that achievement was never even supposed to solve in the first place. Hey lovely, sorry for cutting you short, but a little birdie told me that 80% of our viewers are yet to subscribe to the Florrapedia Podcast. Imagine how sad that made me feel. Please, if you've been enjoying this podcast episode so far, kindly subscribe, like, and follow us on all social media platforms. And you can even leave a review on whatever platform you're listening from. This would help us not only provide more good, relevant content for you, but also reach out to more people who needs to hear this. Help us build a community one day at a time. I trust you'll do that for me, right? Okay, I'm going to trust you on that. Kindly subscribe right now and see you on the episode. Let's continue. Now, how do we become misaligned in the first place? Because think about it. Nobody just wakes up one morning and say, today, I feel like I want to be misaligned. You know what? I want to abandon myself today. It doesn't happen that way. It happens quietly. It happens one decision at a time. You choose a career because it impresses people. You stay in a job because leaving would make you disappoint your family or would mean you disappointing your family. You build a brand around performance rather than actually being yourself. Or you start believing that, you need to say yes to every opportunity simply because they are opportunities, not because they fit the life you're trying to build. You know, these things stack up over time. You become incredibly successful sometimes. Like, it's as if you are getting it right, but somehow it feels exhausting. There's also another psychology idea that explains this beautifully. Someone called Leon Fastinga proposed something called social comparison theory. Now, in his research, it suggests that naturally we evolve by comparing ourselves to other people. But that made sense decades ago, especially during the Stone Age. Not today, where social media has taken the tendency and put it into steroids. Now we're comparing our first year in business to someone else's 10th year. We're comparing our behind the scene to someone else's highlight and reels. Our ordinary Tuesday to someone else's vacation in Santorini. And slowly, without even noticing it, you stop asking the question, what do you actually want? What do I want? And you start asking, what will make me look successful? Should I get the latest bone straight? Should I buy the latest iPhone 17 Pro Max? And this leads to a completely different life because these two things are not the same. Let me ask you one thing. If nobody applauded for your achievements, will you still want it? Take a second to think about it. Don't answer too quickly. Don't tell me yes or no, but think about it. Because your first answer might sound like, oh, that's impressive. But then, if you really take a deep breath and think about it, even this podcast, if no one is clapping, would I still want to do it? Honestly, I think that question humbled me. Because the truth is, at first, the answer would probably be no. I wouldn't. I mean, who is watching? If no one is watching my podcast, why would I want to continue doing it? But at the same time, I reflected over it well and remembered why I started doing it in the first place. I can tell you for a fact that performing is exhausting, but living a life with purpose is energizing. So when you stop trying to perform, you get energized. So why do we even live this life quietly when it exhausts us? Now this is the part that got me thinking. Because once you realize you're misaligned, the obvious question is, why don't I just change? Why don't I just stop? If only it were that simple. It is not. Let's be honest, it is not. Because sometimes we're afraid. We're afraid of disappointing people. We're afraid of starting something over and over. We're afraid of looking like we failed. And sometimes we're not afraid of actually failing. We're afraid of succeeding at something different. Because what if, God forbid, those people who celebrated us that time, when we were in that version of us, no longer celebrates this new version? That's a scary thought, right? Especially if you've spent years building an identity of being the hardworking one, of being the dependable one, of being the successful one in the bunch, of being the one who has all their shit together, of working, hard so much that people start to look up to you. It feels like you're losing that part of your identity, even when that is the same thing that is slowly draining you. A psychologist said something. He said, sometimes we make choices not because they are the right ones, but because we've already invested so much in those choices. Think about it for a minute. Most people don't stop what they've already done because I've already built so much in it. They stay in businesses that no longer reflect their career because I've put in so much money into this. They stay in a career that no longer fits their life because I've already spent 5 years or a lifetime in this job and I've come too far. Some people even stay in a bad toxic relationship because after 12 years of relationship, I cannot start afresh. One of the biggest risks of changing direction is to actually refuse to change direction, because the time you are investing into it and every year you spend living someone else's version of success is what you will never get back. So sometimes it's always healthy to stop at the place you realize and start afresh. Now, I know this is hard to take in, but let's break it down a bit. Now, how do you understand, or how do you know that you are living a misaligned life? A good example is when you wake up feeling tired even after you've slept for a whole day. A good example is when your people are celebrating you, but you keep telling yourself, oh, this is not now, it's not the time to celebrate, let me wait a little bit more. And you start postponing. You feel guilty whenever you're resting. You say yes when your heart is screaming no. You struggle to be fully present with the people you love and care about because your heart is somewhere else. And perhaps one of the biggest signs of them all is you're building a life and you actually stop living. That one, it hurts. Because now you're making happiness a destination and you genuinely believe that you will enjoy life later. I will travel later. I would rest after I make money. I'll spend time with my family after that project. I will take care of my health next year. I will rest after this launch. Life has a funny way of moving the finish line. You find out that there is always going to be another project. There is always going to be another promotion. There's always going to be that one big client to catch. There's always going to be another milestone. Before you know it, you've postponed joy for so long that you don't even know what brings you joy anymore. You don't even know why you are even you are trying to achieve so much anymore. achievement becomes an escape route. This is the hardest to accept because sometimes you're not chasing success. We're sometimes running away from ourselves. Hear me out. Have you noticed that some people, when they are heartbroken, they suddenly become workaholic? I've done that before. Trying to avoid grief, you bury yourself into work. When they are grieving, they throw themselves into business, work, projects, or whatever. When you're lonely, you become obsessed with productivity. When life feels chaotic, you convince yourself that being busy is the answer. Work becomes an escape. Achievement becomes a distraction from everything that is truly happening around you. And productivity probably becomes a therapy for you until one day your body starts to keep scores because, oh boy, it definitely will keep scores. You become anxious, you can't concentrate, little things irritate you, you become emotionally unavailable. You're physically present, but you're mentally exhausted. Your body is saying, I can't carry on anymore. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep carrying what your heart has refused to process. But somehow, you still don't want to listen because we're all humans, right? We just do what we want to do. But sometimes, one of the most productive things you can do is to take a step back and reflect. Now that we've understand what causes misalignment and what misalignment and alignment really means, what do you do to realign your life? Now, before you start listening and thinking, oh, Flora, you want me to quit my job? Please don't. Don't send in resignation letter. At least not just yet. Okay? Misalignment isn't always about changing your environment, even though sometimes it can be helpful. Sometimes it's about changing your relationship with your environment. Realignment begins with awareness. Once you understand that, okay, I'm misaligned, you start asking better questions. Not questions like, what pays me the most? But questions like, what matters to me the most? Not questions like, what will impress people? But questions like, what kind of person do I truly want to become? If you ask this kind of questions, you're going to stop asking about what everyone else is doing. But instead, you would ask, what would make me truly proud of myself and fulfilled with my own life? These are simple questions, right? But they have a way of exposing the life you've been living on autopilot. The next step is to look at your calendar, because your calendar tells a whole lot of truths that you don't want to see. Where does your time go? What life do you follow? What does your life, your calendar reflect about your life? Because your calendar reflects your priorities, not just your obligation. Does your ambition leave room for friendship, leave room for family, for health, for faith, for joy, for laughter and rest? Very important, because if success demands you to sacrifice everything that gives meaning to life, then maybe your definition of success needs to change. The goal isn't about to stop being ambitious. Please don't. The world needs people like you. The world needs people with vision. People who would build businesses, people who would create opportunities, people who would solve problems, people who would lead teams, tell stories, write book, start a podcast, and dream big. The goal is not to, bring down yourself or make your ambition small. The goal is to make sure that your ambition is serving your values, not replacing them. Because when ambition and your work aligns, everything becomes sustainable. And maybe that's the kind of success that is worth chasing. Before we end this conversation, there's a quote by a psychologist called Viktor, which stayed with me for a long time. Viktor Frankl, I think. It says, those who live with a why can bear any how. And maybe this is actually true, because if you know your why, you'll be able to live with any how that why is going to come. And sometimes it can be hard, but because your why is well grounded, when you walk, your walk reflects your value. Your ambition serves your purpose. It serves a bigger dream that is beyond you. When your life that you are building truly feels like yours, the hard days will still feel hard. The setback will still hurt. The rejection will sting. But life will not feel empty. Because you know why? You know what you're doing. And you know why you're doing it. And that why becomes an anchor. Good example is me shooting the content for Florrapedia, even when I'm tired. Because I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it for the unknown hearts that needs to hear this. So before today's conversation comes to a close, I will leave you with a few questions. You don't have to answer right now, but you can think about it and let me know what you think in the comment section, or perhaps journal it down throughout the week, probably during your drive to work or while you're lying in your bed. What part of you feels the most draining right now? What part of your life feels draining the most for you? And is it because it's difficult or because you feel disconnected from who you are? Whose definition of success are you currently chasing? And then 3, if social media currently disappears tomorrow, would your goals still remain the same? 4, if nobody applauded for your achievements, would you still want to pursue them? Would you be excited to do them? And 5, finally, who are you becoming? And why do you truly want to be successful? Because when I realized that success isn't just about where we want to be, but about who we be when we get there, you'll understand that the journey is not just a destination, but a process. And if that journey makes you lose your peace in the process, then I don't think it's worth having. Will you still recognize yourself even when you get there? You spend years building a powerful brand while quietly neglecting the person behind the brand. I don't think that's success. Not the kind of success I want anyway. And I don't think it's the kind of success you should want. Because I believe in a kind of success that allows you to sleep peacefully. The kind that leaves room for laughter, that leaves room for family dinners, that leaves room for friendship that does not feel rushed, or taking care of your body, and leave room for celebrating small wins and enjoying life while working hard to create the one we want. Because what would the point be of creating the dream life you want, and when you get there, you're too exhausted to live it? Imagine climbing Mount Everest and you've trained for years, you've sacrificed, you've endured, you've persevered. Finally, you reached the top. The view is breathtakingly beautiful, but you're too exhausted to even appreciate it, and you're just there, gasping and panting for air. Or worse, you look around and realize that the people you wanted to share those moments with are no longer there with you because you lost them while climbing up. That's what success feels like without alignment. You reach the top, but somewhere along the journey, you lost yourself in the process. You don't want that for yourself. So this week, don't just ask questions like, what do I want to achieve? Ask yourself, does the life I am building truly reflect the person I want to become? For me, I have answered that question countless of times, and the answer is always yes. It might feel slow right now, but it is worth it. So guys, lovelies, thank you so much for spending time with me on today's episode of the Florrapedia Podcast. And I am super amazed that you stayed till the end. I really appreciate that. So if you know this podcast touched you, send it to that entrepreneur that is trying to build a life, or that student that is feeling pressure to get in first class, or those that are wondering, what success truly means. You never know. One conversation might change someone else's direction. And if you enjoyed today's episode, truly, I would love you to subscribe, leave a review, and let me know your biggest takeaway from today's conversation. I genuinely read your comments, and I want to have a conversation with you, and probably continue a long conversation after this episode. Remember, your ambition is not the problem. Your dream is not the problem. Working hard is also not the problem. You just need to make sure that you're building a life of your dreams, and you're making sure that you're not abandoning the person that you are when that dream arrives. So, until our next conversation again, keep growing with intention, lead with authenticity, and build a life with purpose that you will truly be grateful for. And never forget to always remember to improve one life at a time. Okay, guys, see you on our next episode again. Adieu.